Mashiko is a town best known for its pottery. However, one of its native sons was Kihei Sasajima, who he was not a potter, but he was still a famous artist. Sasajima was born in Mashiko in 1906. He attended school in Tokyo, and after graduating, he worked as an elementary school teacher. He took classes in art and printmaking on the side. In 1935, he took a class with Unichi Hiratsuka. Hiratsuka was already a famous printmaker at this time and a leader in the Sosaku-hanga movement. Hiratsuka printed mainly in monochrome, as Sasajima would later. Living in Mashiko in 1938, Hamada Shoji, a pottery master and member of the Mingei movement, and a major influencer in Mashiko, introduced Sasajima to Munakata Shikô. So Munakata was a leader in the Sosaku-hanga movement also, and he was also associated with the Mingei movement. So the Sosaku-hanga artist thought that artwork is only genuine when everything is done by the artist himself. This was much different compared to tradition in Japan, where it was more of teamwork. There was the artist, the carver, the printer, the publisher. They all played a part in traditional Japanese printmaking. This was a change away from that, influenced a little bit by Western art ideas. The Mingei movement is often translated as the folk craft movement, not the folk art movement. It was a little different. So the belief was that beauty was found in the utilitarian of ordinary objects, and it also very much praised the idea of the anonymous craftsman. There's a lot to talk about that, and it could be its own video. Munakata had a lasting impression on Sasajima. Sasajima also, he loved calligraphy, and he said that because he was working at night with artificial lights, it was easiest for him to use black and white, just like his two major teachers. That's one of the traits with Sasajima's work. Most of it is black and white. There are some colored works, but not many. Sasajima's first exhibition was in 1940 at the National Painting Association. Then in 1945, Sasajima left his job of teaching to become a printmaker full-time. It took a while, but his fame and career went more international when some of his prints were included in Modern Japanese Prints and Art Reborn in 1956. In 1957, some of his work was displayed in Yugoslavia. And in 1959, he was part of a two-person show in Washington, D.C. It was after that show in the United States, in Washington, D.C., that he fell ill, and he was actually left permanently weakened. This meant he was no longer able to use the traditional method to rub woodcut impressions onto paper. So what he did was reverse the process. So now he pressed the paper into the recesses of the cut wood block, and then he applied ink to the raised part of the paper, pretty much the exact opposite. So in effect, the print is now what would have been the reverse. And this also caused raised relief, so it looked more 3D because, part of the paper was pushed in, part of the paper was not. When it dried, a little bit of that push in remained, and it was actually extremely popular. And it actually caused him to become more popular. Later on in the 60s, his artwork focused more on Mount Fuji and Furumayo. I talked a little bit about him and his worship in Japan when I went to Kasamaga Abyss in Nikko. So there's a little bit there in that video. In 1990, Sasajima was chosen by Tochigi Prefecture as a person of cultural merit. And 3 years later, in 1993, Sasajima passed away. So Sasajima Hall, that's where this video was filmed, in the Mashiko Museum of Ceramic Arts. Here they have a collection of about 300 prints by him and about 200 sketches. Some of his art shows up if you wander around Mashiko and you go into the art shops or antique stores. You will see artwork by him. It is ranges in price. I don't own any. They do look nice. After making this video, I want to own one more. This is a fun little addition to the Mashiko Ceramics Museum that you can also go if you have a ticket to the regular museum. You can come into Sasajima Hall. That wraps up our video today. Just a little information about an artist from Mashiko. If you liked it, I hope you give me a thumbs up. I hope that I've earned your subscription. I'm trying to get to 250 subscribers. And I